my friends. Welcome to Love's Inner Voice. This is Brenda L. Balding, and I am here with a beautiful friend of mine, Constance Chapman, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her later. Let's just start with our deep breathing that we always do. Breathe in through your heart, breathe in light and love of the divine, all the way down, all the way down. And as you breathe out anything that your body, your mind that you're ready to let go of into that divine light. And do that 3 or 4 times, just noticing being grounded to Mother Earth and connected to the divine or Father Sky, however you see that. Let's take a couple of more deep breaths. Get centered and just be here now. Because Constance and I are going to have a good time together. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Let me please introduce to you Constance Chapman. She is a creative teacher and coach, a soul message artist, and a spiritual writer. She serves women who would love to have more joy, beauty, creativity, fun, love, and expansiveness and connection in their life. Who doesn't want that, right? And she also has education in many areas with women's spirituality, creative inquiry, interdisciplinary arts program, and more. And she has many certifications too. She's really focused on assisting women with spiritual work to move from overwhelming and stressful situations to gratifying, peaceful, and fulfilled lives. So today we're going to be talking about creativity and how creativity is a portal to move us from doubt to the divine. Constance, welcome. So good to see you again. Please
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about moving, how creativity helps us move out of doubt into divine connection.
Well, I think I'll start by telling you a little bit about how it worked for me. Is
Thank you.
is that I grew up thinking I wasn't creative. I had been told that by my mom, who was an artist, and then when I was in my 30s, I actually did a painting, an art class, and I loved it, but I couldn't give myself permission because I just thought it wasn't good. And that continued way up until the early 2010, really, when I met another art teacher and started working with her. But again, I couldn't give myself permission to take myself seriously. And so what happened is that uh, I was doing these classes, and um, but I kept getting the voices, it's not good enough, you're messing it up, just stop, don't do it, you know. And it was during the pandemic that I had a job and my boss had terminal cancer. And so I was having to take a lot of the load. And so I hadn't done an art course in a long time. And this teacher that I'd worked with before was offering one online, so I took it. And something shifted, and all of a sudden I got this voice in my head that said, it's acrylic paint, you can paint over it. And that somehow changed everything, because suddenly the critic wasn't a threat, and it was just information. And so instead of stop, I began to hear, try this, or how about this color, or so so that really worked for me. And since then I've found that a lot of women have that same art wound that I do, that they've been
Mhm.
told they aren't, and that there's this idea that unless you're classically trained and your things being showed in an art gallery or in a museum, you're not any good. And so it's part of that whole um, structure that we have built up in our world that's not just on art, but just about everything. And so what I love to do is I love to help to work with women and find what I find is that women um, begin to they just get really quite wonderfully overwhelmed with how much fun they're having and how much joy and that they're actually creating something that they like. And so I've really looked at that and I've looked at doubt more seriously. Well, I've really looked at how can we move, how can we use creativity to move from doubt to the divine. So I've developed a whole program on that that's fairly new for me and I'm really excited about it. So,
Oh, that's so exciting, Constance. And I agree. I love acrylics. I've tried watercolors, didn't want to go oil. And I just went, I love acrylic because if I don't like it, I can paint over it. And if nothing else, when I paint over it, it adds texture and
oh
depth
yeah,
and stuff that wouldn't have been there before. And that I wouldn't have even think of putting there.
that's right.
And so that's another gift of acrylic for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
talk about joy as our birthright and how you shared a little bit about how we get into doubt and how you got into doubt and how are we taught to let go of joy because we're gifted joy when we're born. That's
yeah.
part of what we're
Yeah.
given.
Yeah, I mean, we're born and joy is part
Yeah,
of our, of our,
yeah,
of our soul, really,
yeah,
of our
yeah,
spirit.
yeah.
And I mean, anyone who's seen a newborn, and I was watching a TV show, that was set in um, New Zealand, I think. And in this
Mhm.
one, when the baby laughed, they said that the baby had made a decision to stay, and they had a whole ceremony around welcoming the baby at that point, because
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah, because a baby's laugh is so infectious, and you can just see that they're just radiating the joy of just being here,
Yeah,
and so and yet from a very early age we're told you have to be this way, you have to be that way, um and that comes both in from our family, it comes from the religious institutions, it comes from schools, and I mean I think families and schools and even some of the religious institutions are getting better at seeing the individuality of children and of really nurturing that. But it's we've got a long ways to go on that one. So um, and yeah, so for me, it started at a very young age, and it just wasn't about art. It was just about who I was, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so in
So
fact,
how do you use creativity to free your inner joy, to let go of that doubt so the joy can shine?
well, just by doing it, really. I mean, it's um, once I sit down at the canvas and just start painting, the joy just shows up because it's actually the joy that's moving my hand and moving the paintbrush. Once I realized that I was not the sole person painting, that I was it was a collaboration. It was a uh, between me and the divine, um, and quit trying to control it.
Oh,
That
yeah,
uh, you know, I'll tell you a very funny. Can I tell you a funny story about trying to control?
absolutely.
Well, I was doing one class, and what the teacher had us do after we had done the very first underpainting, which is just basically a free motion to get yourself loosened up. And she asked us to take our a color that was in the same hue but darker, so it would show up. And then she had us blindfold ourselves or close our eyes, dip the brush in the paint, and just start making marks. And I did. And when I opened my eyes, there was a figure of a woman with a snake kissing her. Now that to me, because of my beliefs, that was very, very profound.
Yeah.
It was the goddess, and the snake to me is a symbol of regeneration, of transformation. So um, and so I was really quite gobsmacked, to use an English word. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was totally in awe, and I couldn't do anything on that painting for a while. I was just afraid to touch it. I finally did, and then my little ego, my little mind came in and said, "Oh, now that was really interesting. If you could do that, you could start selling these as and it got into the material." And
Yes.
so I decided to do it again. And it was a smaller canvas, and I took it and I did the same thing, and I ended up with what I would just call a hot mess. There was, was
It was only supposed to show up once, I guess,
well, and
as a
but
gift.
so I left it there on my easel for the longest time. I kept looking at it, and it had two lines that crossed in the middle like this. And I looked at it and I finally said, I think those are supposed to be eyes. So I put the eyes in. As soon as I put the eyes in, I started laughing at myself. And I finished the whole painting. And here was this older woman. As a parent, if anyone's ever been a parent or looked after kids, kids do things that they're not supposed to, but sometimes they're extremely funny. And so
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
as the parent or as the caregiver, you have to not just burst out laughing. You have to still let them know that that's not okay. And that's exactly what this painting looks like. The eyes and the mouth and everything. It's like one of my spirit guides showed up going, you have to remember what's yours and what's not yours. So, um, and I think that for a lot of us, when we're doing creativity, whether it is with art or music or dancing or cooking or however you create, we if when we think we have to do it ourselves, we're we're really shortchanging ourselves a lot um, because we don't have to. We're never doing it alone. And
Right.
I've even talked to healers like chiropractors, and I've said, when you're really on it, are you here alone? They said, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that's really hard to let go of when we start doing creative stuff, or at least it has been for me in the past, not so much now, is letting go of expectations about how it's going to look, how it's going to turn out, is it good enough, all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
because that shows up. And
yeah,
that's one of the reasons that I loved the class that I took with you, where you just encouraged us to doodle and to do art from doodling on the canvas, on paper, because doodling for me, when I'm in kind of a, if I take a pause and a deep breath, and then I start to doodle, a lot of the feelings and the frustrations come out on the paper, and then I don't have to keep them in my body.
right,
So I loved the doodling that we did in one of the classes that I took with you.
right. Yes, yeah, doodling can be a game changer as well because you're not expecting anything
Right.
to show up. And the other thing I think that I've come to understand is that a lot of times we think we have to get rid of doubt, like we have to chase it out somehow, we have to be rid of it.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
fact, I think that's the wrong approach. In fact, the approach I take is that we need to befriend it. Just like
Yeah.
because the doubt is our critic, and the critic is really our muse who's pissed at us because we haven't been listening to her.
I love that. That's so true. And you know what? Whenever there's something like doubt, there's always another side to it. There's
Yeah,
always a gift side.
yeah,
And, whenever I'm in challenge, and to me, doubt is a challenge. There's also a gift related to that challenge. If I'm
absolutely.
willing to listen and increase my awareness and just be with,
Right.
yeah,
And sometimes because the whole purpose of doubt is to keep us safe.
yeah,
And I think that we forget to say to thank it because in fact it's been very useful to us in many situations. And the trick is to learn to be able to distinguish between the doubt that's trying to keep us small and the doubt that's actually saying be aware of this situation.
Right. Right.
And I think the
Take
more,
notice. Take
yeah,
notice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the more that's one of the reasons within creativity with painting, when there's no expectation of the outcome, you can start to understand the difference in that, in how that voice shows up. Like
Yeah.
if the voice is saying, I really don't think you should throw that paint on the wall, it's probably something to
It's
listen to,
probably not a good idea. Yeah.
because you're just going to have to go back and repaint that wall.
Right.
Or don't eat the paint, or one of those kind of things. Not that that happens to us, but it would happen with kids, and you have to watch that with kids, of course. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, and one of the things that you've talked about in various classes and meetings that you and I have had over the last couple of years is how moving into joy, being connected to doubt and not allowing it to run us, but allowing to learn from it, because doubt is part of fear too, because fear is basically our safety mechanism and it has all different faces, and doubt is one of them. And yet we were given those by the divine to protect us, to teach us when we're willing to learn. So when we're doing all of this, how does this affect the world once we free this and move through? Because for me, it's about shining my light and doing a ripple effect in the world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's I mean, when I look back at myself when I was much younger and I was just really riddled with doubts, uh,
Yeah.
how and I was still doing good work in the world, but I could have been, I doubted myself, and when I would move forward, I was moving forward out of a sense of, if I don't do this, there's something wrong with me, rather than I've got something to shine. And
Yeah.
I think we can see that when we run up against people in the world, the people that we really admire, um, depending on where we're coming from. I mean, we're in a very interesting part of the evolution of humankind right now, because we've
Hmm.
got a whole group of people who are really enamored with meanness and with
Yeah.
smallness, uh, in the guise of bigness, but
Right.
really it's about meanness and 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 meanness and meanness,
Yeah.
and um and so I think people who are coming from that place get very threatened by people who go through the world just radiating, because they
Yeah.
don't believe it, because they don't know how to find it in themselves, and so they think it's false. They think it's a put on. So
Yeah.
so
Or
I
they
think it's
think
even
it's from
more.
a cult or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's even more important right now, particularly for women, to be doing this, to be actually really working on whatever it is that stopped us from doing. Excuse me, I need to take a drink.
It's okay.
I don't know where that tickle came from, but there it was. Um, yeah, so it's really important that we step out right now and do it in love and in kindness, and just radiate that self assurance, because the opposite of doubt is really authority, self authority. Um, there's an old fashioned word we don't use very much, but it's dominion, and you see that in the Christian Bible, dominion.
Hmm.
But really, when to have dominion over ourselves, that's the hardest work there is.
Yeah.
To try to have dominion over someone else is not that hard, really. But to have dominion over yourself, that's a hard one, because we're beset by people that we run up against, we don't like, that that trigger us, that push our buttons, and that's where our own radiance needs to shine the most, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And dominion also to me is being connected to the divine or creator, whatever word we want to use, because then we're hearing and listening and feeling supported in a way that is totally um, beyond human potential. And doubt also brings up lack, not good enoughness, and all of that. And if we're taking dominion or ownership of who we are and how we want to show up in the world, that doesn't exist. It comes back because we're human. It
Right.
shows up at times and one of the things that I love is taking a deep breath and then noticing where I am and taking a pause. And I love the acronym for pause because when I'm sort of in a, "Ugh," if I take a deep breath and pause, perhaps another unseen solution exists. And that's so true. There might be another
Yeah.
way of looking at it, or there might be another way of doing it.
Right. Yeah. And that's I think one of the things about that, Brenda, I think it's a really important point because in the world that we live in, in our jobs, it's always go, 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 go.
Yes,
And very seldom do we have the spaciousness to really just sit down and think, okay, we need to plan this. I mean, I think probably the bigger corporations are probably really good at forward planning, but I worked for the federal government in Canada for a number of years, and it was a job I really enjoyed because I was working with the community. Um, but we would get these directives coming from above that we're supposed to be working on something this year. And so the first time I was a newbie there, and I called together this committee to work on it was something on children's rights. And the first meeting, we got together, and a number of the people who'd been in the government for a long time just basically said, "Well, we'll do the work, but just you hold on; they'll change their mind." And sure enough, we had all these elaborate plans, and then the ministers changed their mind about what they wanted to do, and there was another thing that came down the pipeline. So there wasn't really that spaciousness. And last year in my spiritual center, they just the minister got this brainstorm with another person and decided to do this weekend thing that turned it was quite lovely. But afterwards she asked me why I hadn't volunteered, and I said because there was no spaciousness. I said if you give me some spaciousness next year, I'll be in, but I'm not going to do this anymore. And yesterday we had a meeting, and she said from now on we have 90 days to plan things. We're not going to do anything on last minute anymore. So we'll see because that's not her personality. We'll see how much that
right,
that but
right.
that's the other thing in terms of painting and then doing creativity. Sometimes we think, oh, we just got to get it done. But sometimes I will have a canvas that will sit. I've got one on my
Me too.
yeah, it just sits because I'm waiting for it to tell me what it wants next.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is when I've noticed when I'm working with someone like that, it's about control because they don't feel safe if they're not in control.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And, it's looking at times when I don't feel safe and I need to control. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not in my best interest. And that's not in anybody else's best interest whom I'm in. And I can't control the paint. The paint's going to go where the paint's going to go. It might drip, it might do this. And if I'm sitting in control, I'm throwing out a heck of a lot of canvases
Right.
into the trash. So that's not where I want to be. How can people find you, Constance? I know you have a lot of free things that are available to people. So
Well,
I'd
I
like
really
you
have,
to,
I have, well, there's two ways for right now. One is that I do have um, a PDF that I've developed that's called From Doubt to Divine. And it helps people using doodling. So you don't have to have, all you have to have is
Nice.
paper and a pen to start to understand and to really listen to those doubting voices, because sometimes we don't understand them. I mean, we know the ones that's like, "Meh," and
Yep.
that one, but
Right.
they come in, the doubt comes in all forms.
Yes.
And the very first step in learning to befriend it is to actually hear it.
Yep.
And so that's what this From Doubt to Divine will do. And I can send you the link and you can put it. The other thing that's going on right now, and this is time specific to December when we're doing this podcast, is there's another woman that both of us know who has developed this thing called the Feminine Frequency Festival, and it's
Mm.
happening from solstice all the way through the first of the year. And all sorts of women are entrepreneurial women healers are offering 20-minute talks, and they'll probably be offering all sorts of other things as well. Um, and so that's if someone's interested in that, all they need to do is go on Facebook and look up Feminine Frequency and join the group, and then they will get access to all of these. And I'm going to be speaking actually the day after solstice on the 20th, a week today, actually at 10:45, and I'm going to be talking about more about going from doubt to divine.
Nice. Nice. So if the audience puts in Constance Chapman, they'll find you.
Uh,
Yes.
put it in where?
Like in Google, or if they're looking for you.
Oh, let me just find out. Find out. I don't know. I, I haven't
Or
Googled.
Constance Chapman Creative Coaching. Do you have a website we can give them?
No, I don't. I haven't set up a website because for a number of reasons, but I do have a landing page
Okay.
that um
Because I think some people might be interested in finding you and exploring some of the things that you offer and learning a little bit more about you.
okay, well, the best way is to is um see, there's an English actress who was also named Constance Chapman, so that's what you'll find when you Google it.
Ah,
That's not
okay.
that's not me. I've often wondered if I was named after her, but I don't know.
Well, that
Um,
would be interesting.
because she
What
was,
about Constant Chapman Creativity Coaching?
yeah,
Would you come up with that?
yes. Then you'll that the first thing that shows up is my Facebook page on Facebook, Constance Chapman Creativity Coaching, and also my
Good.
Instagram. So yes, that's the way to find
Great.
it.
So if you go into Google and go Constance Chapman Creativity Coaching, or go into Facebook and Constance
Yeah,
Chapman
yeah,
Creativity Coach, you'll find her and
right,
you'll find out all the different fun things that she's doing
right.
these days and the offerings. I love the doodle with divine free download because that is just, to me, doodling, whether it's on canvas or paper, it doesn't matter, is a gift because it
Mhm.
gets me out of frantic and just allows me to just calm down and be.
Right. And so if anyone wants that free gift, if you go on Facebook and just DM me, then I can give you the link where you can sign up and get it.
Yay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are there any last thoughts, words, concepts, gifts, gifts of words that you'd like to share with the audience before we close?
Um, well, I think the main thing is that I'd like to emphasize that first of all that that we don't have to seek joy. The joy is already within us. It's always been within us.
Yes.
And that it's just a matter of getting all the stuff out of the way that has kept it down, and doubt is one of them.
Yes.
And that if we stop thinking about doubt as an enemy and think that it's something that we want to befriend and have it become our ally rather than our enemy, that we can move a lot faster. Um, so
Yeah.
those are the two things and that
Yeah.
creativity is an incredibly fun way of doing that. And so
Yes, it is.
I would love to have people join me and check out what I'm doing, because I do have these new programs that
Yeah, I know you do.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's wonderful. And it truly is. Thank you for that reminder that, and I know you said it a couple of times, we can't say it enough, that joy is within us. It
yeah,
is in our heart. It is in our soul. It is in our body. It's in our cells. So is love.
yeah,
It's been covered. They've been covered by experience, by words, by feelings, by all of this that we think are more important
right. Can
because of the world we're in. Yes.
I just want to that in addition to the From Doubt to Divine download, which is the doodle thing, I've started a monthly membership that's going to start in the new year, and it's a place where women can join, and it's not too expensive to join. And we will be looking at a spiritual truth every month, and from that truth, we will be doing some doodling. We'll be doing some writing, and we'll have two Zoom calls, one of which will be doing a creative exercise to anchor that in our bodies. Um, and so again, DM me, and once you get that free gift, then you'll start finding out about the other offerings. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us, Constance. It's so good to see you.
yeah, it's so
And I
good to see you,
wish you and
Brenda.
everyone a blessed day and a blessed holiday wherever you are.
Yeah.
Whatever time of year it is that you see this, there's always a holiday somewhere
There.
around the corner.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where we are. And we can create our own holidays,
Right.
our own days of joy.
Hmm.
And I love the acronym for JOB, joy of being.
Mm,
So it's really about the joy of being just who we are
right.
and learning to shine that beautiful, unique light because we're all unique.
Right.
And isn't that wonderful? Thank you so much, Constance. I so appreciate you. Everyone, let's take a few nice deep breaths. Breathe in, love and light.
Mm.
And as you breathe out anything that you're willing to let go of for right now, back into that love and light. And let's just be in gratitude and joy for the moment. Blessed be to each one of you. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.